At my best friend's wedding, I accidentally drank too much and tumbled straight into her brother's arms. Waking up with a hangover, I trembled because her brother despises me. After an internal struggle, I went to apologize and tried to excuse myself. Sorry, I thought I bumped into a wall, that's why I acted like that. He sneered coldly, pulled open his shirt, revealing a chaotic patch of kiss marks on his chest. Then it seems you're truly starving, to gnaw and bite like that even at a wall.
Welcome to listen to my full sweet love series novel. I'm the blogger and I'm Twilight's novel. Now let's start the main story.
I told Fiona I wanted to attend a feast, and she immediately patted her chest assuringly. Leave it to me. Guaranteed to give you a surprise. I thought she was joking at the time, but a month later, she actually had a whirlwind marriage with a match arranged by her family. Just so I could witness the luxury of an upper-class banquet. Though I scolded her impulsiveness, I couldn't walk past the Australian lobster at the wedding. After all, it was the youngest daughter of the city's richest family getting married, so the extravagance was naturally maxed out. The feast certainly wouldn't be shabby either. After squeezing out a few symbolic tears of reluctance, I devoured 1 plate of braised pork, 2 plates of hairy crabs, and 3 plates of steamed perch. Watching her exchange rings and kiss that man on stage, a dull ache settled in my chest, a feeling of reluctance, prompting me to pour myself a couple more drinks, completely forgetting my low tolerance and terrible drunken behavior. Glass after glass, I was drunk before the wedding ended. Staggering off to the bathroom to vomit, my head was still spinning when I emerged, my steps unsteady. Tilting my head back, I stumbled aimlessly and bumped into something. It felt hard, quite solid, like a wall, and leaning against it was surprisingly comfortable, so I buried my face in it and fell asleep. I woke up in Fiona's house. Slowly, consciousness returned, and the events of last night replayed in my mind like a movie. A familiar, scowling face became clear in my memory. Oh my God! That hard thing I leaned against wasn't a wall. It was Fiona's brother, Ethan Cheen. He's also my boss. After graduation, relying on my life-or-death friendship with Fiona, I smoothly got a job at her family's company. Originally in a technical role, constantly traveling and attending meetings with her brother, Fiona complained I was too busy to play with her and asked her brother to transfer me to a more leisurely position. I was quite happy. Less work and good pay suited me perfectly. But Ethan wasn't pleased, saying the company didn't keep idle people. Fiona immediately told me to resign. The little princess slammed the table, proudly declaring to Ethan, "Humph! It's not like I can't afford to support her. Sign the papers, release her." She then turned to me and said, "Tonight, we'll celebrate your resignation by booking 10 male models. Hurry up and write your resignation letter." Afraid his sister might actually go wild, Ethan snapped back, "You wouldn't dare." "Wanna bet on whether I dare or not?" In the end, Ethan compromised, signing the transfer request with a cold face instead of the resignation. It seemed from then on, he never gave me a pleasant look again. Every time I went to his house to find Fiona, he'd sit nearby with a sour expression, watching us, making me uneasy. Probably condemning my behavior of taking the company's money without doing much work. He must really dislike me, but who cares? I have a powerful backer. Especially last time, when Fiona said it wasn't right for me to be single forever, that I needed a family. Under Fiona's coercion, Ethan practically turned green handing over basic information about his friend. My parents passed away early. I've lived alone all these years with few friends, often by myself. Fiona has been my longest-lasting friend. In each other's hearts, we are family. What she worries about most is my marriage. She knows I long for a complete family to make up for the absence of my parents. At first, she wanted me to marry her brother, to become closer family, but thinking of Ethan's attitude towards me, she immediately dismissed the idea. No, marrying him would be worse than marrying my DD. Look how much DD adores you. DD is Fiona's dog and adores me the most, always nuzzling into my lap. Get lost. DD is your son. Don't you dare try to take advantage of me. Joking aside, she still seriously introduced me to several eligible, high-quality young men from their circle. I picked the most handsome one and said I wanted to meet him. You've got great taste, Luna Chen. That's the handsomest of my brother's friends. A bit of a player though, dated quite a few girls, but his family has strict rules. He wouldn't mess around after marriage. I waved it off. What's the big deal? A man's kindness might be fake, but his handsomeness can't be faked. Besides, a man's beauty is his wife's glory. I'm particularly vain. I just want to hear people say, "Wow, your husband is so handsome." Hee. That day, Fiona had something come up and asked me to go to the meeting place first. Just as I reached the private room door, I heard Ethan's voice inside. Ryan Chen asked, "Bro, since she's Fiona's friend, you must know her well. What's she like?" Ethan's lazy voice drawled. "Her? Just average. Pretty lazy, a bit dumb, loves sleeping, procrastinates, cries easily, talks too much, clumsy worker. Your parents wouldn't approve." Ryan looked disappointed, sighing at my photo. I really liked her from the photo. She's the type my parents would like too, but with so many flaws, it probably won't work. My advice? Best not to like her because... His voice suddenly cut off. I peeked inside. He'd leaned close to Ryan, whispering in his ear. Probably saying something even worse about me. Something too shameful to say aloud. I was furious, but what he said wasn't wrong. I really was like that. Spot on, well played. Predictably, it fell through afterward. Ryan rejected me with an apology every third sentence and a really sorry every 5 steps. After that, I deliberately avoided Ethan. He disliked me far more than I imagined. Better to have less contact with him in the future. At Fiona's wedding, she placed me at the head table. When I arrived, the only seat left was between Ethan and his mother. What? Did you two have a fight? Aunt Cheen treats me like a daughter. Always kind to me. Sitting beside her would be nice, but next to Ethan? Not so much. Afraid he'd tell my next suitor. Gluttonous. Drinks heavily. Luckily, Ryan called him away to drink later, so I started feasting. But I never imagined my fears would come true. Despite dodging him all night, I ended up stumbling right into his arms. In my memory, last night I kept nuzzling my head into his chest, refusing to let go. When he pushed me, I wrapped my arms around him, found his mouth and kissed him. Gotta say, his lips were moist, very kissable. Even ripped his shirt to shreds and did indescribable things to him with abandon. Why didn't he stop me at all? I panicked, cutting off the memories. Getting dressed quickly, I tried to flee the Cheen house like a fugitive. Just as I stepped out, I ran into Ethan on his way to work. He looked completely unfazed, even seemed in a good mood. Seeing me, he greeted me with a rare smile. Going to work together? Great. 5 short words, containing 2 horror stories. Together. Work. I trembled, finding his smile creepy. Fiona had told me her brother was very ascetic, nearly 30 and never had a girlfriend. Yet his looks and wealth were undeniable. Many girls threw themselves at him, but he'd always shooed them away. Not only did I throw myself at him, but I kissed him and then proceeded to do that. And that. Great. The deceased, me, is currently very agitated. Ethan still made no move to leave, standing meaningfully by his Maybach, looking at me. After another internal struggle, I gathered my courage and walked over. Steeling myself, I apologized and offered a feeble excuse. Sorry, I thought I'd bumped into a wall, that's why I acted like that. He sneered coldly and started undoing his shirt buttons. I took a step back. Whoa, big guy. Vengefulness isn't played like this. After undoing half the buttons, he pulled his shirt open, his well-defined firm pectoral muscles blatantly exposed in front of me. Last night, I'd only touched them. I hadn't realized they were this good-looking. Wrong focus. He wanted me to see the chaotic patch of kiss marks and scratch marks on his chest. All evidence of my drunken escapades consuming him. Then it seems you're truly starving, to gnaw and bite like that even at a wall. Ethan took a step closer. Speak. How are you resolving this? I'm sorry. My mind went blank. Only the instinct to kneel, apologize, and kowtow remained. He didn't lack money. Compensation was utterly beyond my means. Apologies are useless, Luna Chen. Ethan buttoned his shirt back up, looking at me seriously. I don't accept your apology. Out of options, I gave up. Then what do you want me to do? Whatever compensation I can offer, I'll do it. You marry me. My eyes widened, staring at him. Ignoring my shock, he continued. You marry me and help me fend off those women. Phew, So he just wants to use marriage to block his romantic admirers. You could just marry Miss Sue that uncle and aunt introduced you to yesterday. She suits you so well. A marriage alliance would be perfect. After hearing this, Ethan raised an eyebrow, pointed at his chest, and said with a faint smile, "You've gnawed me into this state. I'm not clean anymore. Who else could I find but you? Besides, you babbled some little secrets last night. I recorded them. If you don't agree, I don't mind spreading what I heard far and wide." "What secret?" Uneasy, I clenched the hem of my shirt, my palms slick with cold sweat. He curved his lips, his eyes narrowing with amusement. "The kind that would make you scream, of course." I rapidly replayed my collection of mortifying, unspeakable experiences in my mind. "No way. Absolutely not. I have pride." Plus, looking at his triumphant smug expression, I reasonably suspected that maybe, while drunk, I'd cursed him out. After all, when bored before, I'd always draw circles to hex him. Weighing the pros and cons, I agreed to his demand. Marry him. The demand was agreed upon in the morning. The marriage certificate was obtained by the afternoon. After getting the certificate, he seemed in high spirits, holding the marriage license and laughing like a fool. Must be because seeing his sister get married made him impatient. He couldn't wait another moment. Now it's settled, he's married too. No one dares to gossip about him. He's ecstatic. That evening, he suggested I move in with him. I said no. Once living together, if he experienced up close how lazy, dumb, sleepy, procrastinating, weepy, talkative, and clumsy I was, wouldn't he roll his eyes and kick me out? Just thinking about it made me shake my head frantically. No. But Ethan persisted. "If you don't live with me, how do I explain it to my parents? I'm married but living apart from my wife? If that gets out, how will I function in society?" Helpless, I obediently packed my things to go with him. Who told me to be at fault in the first place? He even proposed holding a wedding, which I refused with even more reason. I'm socially awkward, and weddings are a hassle. Fiona was half dead exhausted from hers. And for people like us, once you wear a ring, people will know you're married anyway. Let's not make such a big fuss. Regarding this, Ethan didn't press me further. Ethan had his own place outside, very new, probably just recently renovated. "Why did you buy a place here?" Standing on the large floor-to-ceiling balcony, I looked out. This was the riverside community I'd always loved most, where you could overlook the entire city and the nearby sea from the balcony. On clear days, stunning sunset hues would stream in. Living in a place like this had always been my dream, but the property prices only allowed me to fantasize. My fantasy was something Ethan could make real with a wave of his hand. I was so envious. Bought it because I liked it. Damn it, can you rich people please form your own planet already? Screams internally. After all, I was living in someone else's house, and that someone was Ethan, who held a grudge against me. I had to rein in my flaws and behave carefully and diligently. I stayed in the room next to his master bedroom. It had a balcony adjacent to his. Every morning, as soon as I heard the balcony door open next door, I'd scramble out of bed without daring to linger a second longer. Seeing me appear fully dressed, Ethan would occasionally tease, "Oh, finally willing to get up and see where the sun rises today?" Back when I stayed with Fiona, I could always cuddle her and sleep until noon. After breakfast, I'd rush to do the dishes, but before I could finish my steamed bun, he'd already taken the bowls to the kitchen and washed them. He never spoke much, but he proactively gave me rides to work. Daily transfers were also extremely generous. Each time I had to count the zeros on my fingers. At this rate, after divorcing him, I should be able to afford a riverside penthouse myself and then keep an 18-year-old boy toy. Life suddenly seemed bright. On the way to work, I thought this gleefully. "What are you thinking about? You're about to drool." Ethan's voice snapped me back. I turned. He had one hand on the steering wheel, fingers tapping lightly, looking at me casually. "Thinking about handsome bros." I paused, seeing Ethan's face instantly darken. Cough, thinking about what kind of spokesperson to find for the upcoming advertising project. Can't hire a male one. A men's underwear ad without a male? He said coldly, "This project will be handed over to Group 3 afterward. Get out." All day at work, Ethan's gloomy face haunted my mind. Saying I wasn't scared would be a lie. So, for the next few days after work, I kept running to Fiona's house to find her. Anyway, she and her husband weren't close, had little affection, and she constantly complained about being bored and missing me. Her arranged marriage partner was the son of Uncle Chin's old friend, named Sean Zhao. Tall and handsome, just not talkative. Every time I went, he was either playing with the cat or walking the dog, as unfamiliar with Fiona as if they were from different worlds. Had chores, no wife. Fiona, a chatterbox, was driven crazy being with him. She couldn't even pick a fight and desperately summoned me every day. When she found out about Ethan and me getting married in a flash, she immediately rushed to warn Ethan. "If you dare treat Luna badly, I'll skin you and feed you to DD. You dare sneakily poach my best friend, Ethan? I treat you like a brother, and you steal my sister. Ethan, you know I've been without a wife since childhood. Give Luna to me." Fiona pointed at him, looking utterly heartbroken. Ethan watched her tantrum patiently, agreeing to every demand. But in the end, he slowly uttered 2 words, "Not happening." Fiona and I were still the same as before, loving to lie on the sofa gossiping. As the night deepened, our conversation gradually shifted from various gossip and jokes back to ourselves. Fiona twirled a strand of hair over her shoulder, asking me with concern, "Is my brother treating you well? Has he bullied you? Before, when I asked him to introduce you to someone, he was so reluctant, as if you'd taint his friends. Now he's rushing to marry you." I thought seriously and shook my head. "No, not really. He's been quite good to me, not as disdainful as before. Probably because you're married now. His hostility has shifted to your husband." Fiona clicked her tongue repeatedly. "Teske, you really? Didn't you tell me before to keep 3 feet away if you saw my brother? Now you're defending him. Love truly makes you blind." I smiled bitterly. What we had was purely transactional. Not an ounce of pure feeling could be extracted. Changing the subject, I asked Fiona with some heartache, "What about you? Just so I could attend a feast, you married some random guy? It makes me feel terribly guilty every time I think about it." "Where is this coming from?" Fiona shrugged. "Someone in our family had to make a marriage alliance. My brother refused, so it had to be me. Why didn't he want to? No wonder his family kept pushing him to marry. He kept delaying it. Must have someone in his heart. He's always been stubborn like that. Once he sets his mind on something, not even 9 oxen could pull him back. And I don't care anyway. I only wanted you. Marrying anyone else is the same to me." As she said this, she leaned over to kiss my cheek. Just as I was about to kiss her back, Sean called from behind me, "Sister-in-law, your brother is outside waiting for you." Sean didn't look too pleased, sounding rather impatient. "Hurry back, it's already dark." Fiona and I exchanged puzzled glances, whispering, "How did he know I was here?" I clearly told him I was going to a colleague's gathering. Fiona thought for a moment, then glanced meaningfully at Sean. The man looked away guiltily. After picking me up, Ethan didn't say much, driving leisurely home. I was distracted, resting my chin on my hand as I stared out the window, wondering who the person he liked was. I wanted to ask directly but felt it was overstepping. I barely suppressed my restless curiosity. But the answer came the very next day. The next day at work, feeling drowsy and ready for paid daydreaming, someone suddenly shouted, "Holy crap! President Chin is raging in a meeting." Been cursing for half an hour straight. Not a single repeated phrase, and not a single swear word. Which department messed up big time this time? The president hasn't lost his temper in ages. Who could possibly win an argument against that mouth? Good Lord. Let's go watch the show. Hearing there was a good show, I immediately woke up. I'd never seen Ethan lose his temper before. I was curious. So I trotted along with my colleagues to the meeting room to spectate. Just as we arrived, I saw him slam a stack of documents onto the table. Papers flew everywhere. I shrank back in fright. His secretary walked past us, glanced at us spectators, hurried in to pick up the papers, tidied them, and whispered something in his ear. He glanced at her, then swept his gaze toward the door. My colleagues and I, caught spectating, quickly hid to the side. After the secretary spoke, his expression instantly softened. He rubbed his nose somewhat awkwardly, a faint smile tugging at his lips, no longer the fierce intensity from before, but carrying a hint of gentleness. My intuition told me he had special feelings for this secretary. No wonder Grace Wen's been President Chen's secretary for years. Just 2 words calmed him right down. Of course. She's the only one who's stayed by his side all these years. With the president so picky, Grace must be incredibly capable. Ooh, I kind of ship them. By the way, his sister is married, but he's not. Is he waiting for Secretary Wen? Is the president not married? I saw a wedding band on his ring finger. But honestly, I haven't heard any news about him marrying. Probably keeping it low-key. His sister's wedding was such a grand spectacle known citywide. There's no way he'd marry quietly. He just isn't married yet. Wearing a ring doesn't necessarily mean married. Look, Luna wears one too, and she's single. Exactly the same. Then I'll keep shipping him and Secretary Wen. Such a handsome man and a beautiful woman. Too pleasing to the eye. Do you know it's Secretary Wen's birthday today? I went to deliver documents this morning and saw a box on the boss's desk. I recognized the brand. It's a necklace. TSK. My colleagues chattered away. I couldn't help peeking inside again. They did look very compatible. I felt a pang of guilt. Had my drunken mistake stopped him from being with the person he loved? Before leaving work, he messaged saying he had something on in the evening and asked me to go home first without waiting. I nodded very understandingly, planning to turn around and find Fiona. I waited a long time before the call connected. She said, "Luna, I'm busy tonight." A series of ragged breaths came through, followed by Sean's low, hoarse, and somewhat aggrieved voice. "Focus." I hung up first, threw my phone aside, and slumped dejectedly on the sofa, my mind adrift. At this time, they should be having dinner together. I really wanted to call, but that felt like crossing a line. We weren't in a relationship where we could casually ask about each other's whereabouts. But why did I feel so disappointed? I'd been trying so hard to stay in my lane, yet I couldn't help being greedy, wanting a little more. My phone screen stayed fixed on Ethan's number. My finger never pressed down. While I was still hesitating, the sound of the door opening came from the entrance. Ethan was back. Seeing me still sitting on the sofa, he gestured for me to take the bag in his hand, bent down to change his shoes, and said, "There's a business gala tomorrow night. Can you accompany me?" Ha! Me? Me, with my awkward vibe, attending a business gala? That'd be like a mask shop getting robbed. A colossal loss of face. I shook my head. Busy. Ethan frowned. Busy? Going to find Fiona again? No. Why don't you ask Secretary Wen to go with you? Ethan shot me a glance, leisurely folded his arms, and leaned against the wall. Why? It's not work hours. Asking her counts as overtime. I'd have to pay double. Not cost-effective. I'm asking you. I rolled my eyes openly. Damn capitalist. Asking me doesn't count as overtime. Besides, it requires bringing a family member. You are my family member. Before I could say more, he stuffed the bag into my hands. Go try on the dress. I picked it out carefully. The size should be right. How do you know my size? I looked down at the evening gown in the bag and asked offhandedly, completely missing the man approaching me. A mischievous glint lit his eyes as he ruffled my hair, smirking slyly. Naturally. Measured it myself, of course. At the gala, Ethan went to discuss a deal, telling me to entertain myself for a while. I wandered around the hall and bumped into an acquaintance. Ryan Chen. He walked over with a glass of red wine, raised it slightly in a mock toast, took a sip. Hello, sister-in-law. Thinking of our failed blind date, I felt awkward. Hello. Ryan looked like a slacker usually, but in a suit, he actually resembled a decent human. He pulled me into a corner, looked around furtively, then lowered his voice. Since we sort of went on a blind date, and I'm Ethan's childhood friend, could you do me a favor? What favor? Tisk. Well, could you help me connect with Ethan's secretary? Me? You like Secretary Wen? Suddenly embarrassed, Ryan nodded, a blush spreading across his face. A few days ago, I went drinking with Ethan. I got drunk, but Ethan had to rush home. Secretary Wen took me home. Later, my stomach acted up, and she took me to the hospital, stayed with me all night. It's the first time someone's been this good to me, sigh. But she absolutely refuses to give me her contact info. I don't dare ask Ethan. Help me out, will you? I fell silent. Ethan also liked Secretary 1. So, how about the two of you duke it out? After some thought, I replied, that depends on your skills. Your competition isn't simple. Ryan panicked, grabbing my arm and shaking it. What? I checked. She's single. Does she have feelings for someone else? I nodded gravely. He mumbled dejectedly. Could that person really not be me? Just as I was thinking of something comforting to say, Ethan's voice boomed behind me. Wife! What are you doing here? Been looking for you everywhere. He strode over and pulled me close, wrapping his arm around my shoulder. His shout drew many curious looks. Blushing, I lightly kicked him, hissing through gritted teeth. Don't call me that. Ethan ignored me, shot Ryan a displeased glance, and led me outside. The night was chilly. He took off his suit jacket and draped it over me. The scent of wilderness cologne mixed with faint red wine enveloped me. He walked ahead, shielding me from the rushing autumn wind. Watching his broad back striding forward, I suddenly empathized with Ryan's defeated look earlier. That night, I disgracefully suffered from insomnia, lying in bed with scattered thoughts. Unsure whether to help Ryan or not. I wanted to call Fiona for advice, but no matter how many times I called, no one answered. Just as I hung up to try again, a shout came from outside. I bolted upright. What dying sound was that? It sounded like Ethan. Slipping on my slippers, I rushed out to find Ethan curled up on the sofa, hugging his legs, eyes squeezed shut, pointing tremblingly at a bug on the floor. A big bug. I was speechless. A 30-year-old man afraid of a tiny insect. But seeing him like that, I couldn't mock him. I walked over, picked it up with a tissue, and flushed it down the toilet. Coming out of the bathroom, I clapped my hands and smirked at him. Look who's calling me timid. Seems you're the scaredy cat. Ethan returned to his usual self, looking utterly baffled. What timid? Hey, short memory for important people. When I was set up with Ryan before I arrived, you told him I was timid. You heard that? I nodded. Yeah, heard it all. What I want to say is, since when were you so underhanded? Sure, I leveraged Fiona for some perks, but you didn't need to sabotage my love life like that. Cutting off my prospects. Ethan leaned back on the sofa, radiating laziness, tossing out casually. Because he didn't like you. Seeing my disbelief, he continued explaining, Ryan just wanted someone to appease his family, chosen strictly by his parents' criteria. His family is notoriously strict. I was thinking of you, I retorted. So what? I don't care. You don't like me either, and I still married you. Ethan tilted his head, shifted slightly, a barely perceptible smile playing on his lips as he quickly interjected. Who said I don't like you? I realized we'd stumbled onto a topic I wanted to avoid. So I pretended to yawn, ready to end it. All right, enough talking. Time to sleep. Ethan, sharp as ever, sensed my mood. He stepped forward to block me, his voice low. Hear me out first. Do you have some misunderstanding about me? What misunderstanding could we possibly have? A misunderstanding about the feelings between us. He held my arms, took a deep breath, visibly nervous. I heard his voice tremble. I like you too. Are you drunk tonight? Or scared witless by the bug? Secretary 1 and I don't look alike, do we? Ethan's expression froze. He repeated, Luna Chen, I like you. What Secretary 1 or Secretary Lee? I only have you. I only like you. His words were like a wooden mallet, striking my ears, thudding against my long-dead heart. The sealed affection tore open a crack, letting a shaft of piercingly bright light flood in. Actually, lately, I'd been recalling snippets of my drunken behavior, including what I'd said. I think I confessed to him while drunk. But these memories always surfaced as dreams, so I desperately denied the possibility, telling myself it must have just been a dream. Because if I said I liked him, he would definitely avoid me. How could he marry someone who liked him? That would hinder his own pursuit. But since the atmosphere had reached this point, I couldn't help asking, what exactly did I say when I was drunk last time? Ethan leaned closer, squinting. You really don't remember? I shook my head. Ethan continued. You said you liked me, asked if I liked you back. I answered you, but you woke up remembering nothing. What did you answer? Ethan's eyes were bright and shiny, his gaze warm and lingering as it rested on me. His voice was soft, tinged with broken traces of grievance. I said I liked you too. Then you kicked me straight out of bed. So I never knew if you were talking in your sleep or speaking drunken truth. Before, Fiona always blocked me. I could barely exchange a few words with you. But since you said you liked me too, I had to take the initiative. Proposing marriage was also a way to test you. If I hadn't pushed you actively, were you planning to never speak up for a lifetime? And tell me, did you marry me or for something else? After speaking, Ethan looked at me, eyes full of anticipation. So he proposed marriage knowing I liked him too. As soon as he finished speaking, a bug landed on my hand. I screamed, frantically shaking it off. In the chaos, Ethan pulled me into his embrace. By the time I snapped back to reality, he'd calmly dealt with the bug. I thought he was terrified of bugs. How come you're not scared anymore? Ethan ruffled my hair, chuckling softly. I was never scared. You tricked me earlier. Jerk. Pretending to be pitiful to lure me out. Yep. Sean told me to rein you in. Stop calling Fiona in the middle of the night. They're busy. Brother-in-law asked for help. I obliged. Nice. My Fiona is living happily again. You were scared of the bug but still calmly stepped forward to catch it. It must mean you like me, right? Ethan asked again. I feigned anger, pushing away his approaching face. No talking for love-struck fools. Getting ready for bed, Ethan insisted on sleeping with me because the bugs are bad tonight. What? Sleeping with me means no bugs. I don't care. Last time you mauled me, you owe me compensation. Before I could answer, he swiftly pulled off his shirt. I tried to escape, but he scooped me into his arms, forcing my eyes level with his chest. I clearly saw the kiss marks and scratches I'd left on him last time hadn't faded. Then, I'll apply some medicine for you. Apply it with your mouth, okay? Luna. His voice was unbearably low and hoarse. I looked up at him in panic. Ethan's eyes were wet. He bent down, meeting my gaze. His kiss landed urgently, almost violently. His palm cradled the back of my head. As our breaths tangled, he lifted me up, his voice hoarse, unable to contain his excitement. Last time was you taking initiative. This time it's my turn. Ethan taking initiative once cost me 3 days of back pain. Feeling sorry, he summoned me to his office every day. During downtime, he'd massage my shoulders and lower back, piling the office high with delicious snacks and drinks. This worked wonders for me. Paid slacking off is the happiest. I'd sit cross-legged, perfectly relaxed, watching him work busily. When Secretary Wen came in with files, I remembered Ryan's request for help. An idea sparked. I asked Ryan, during our blind date setup, when Ethan told you best not to like me, what did he say afterward? Ryan? ? You tell me and I'll help you. I'd always been curious what terrible things he'd said about me afterward. Every time I asked before sleep, he'd mumble, I like you, to brush me off. What did he say? I was dying to know. He said he liked you. Told me not to get any ideas. TSK, so annoying. Am I just a prop in you two lovebirds game? Ryan rolled his eyes helplessly, drained the wine in his hand, and set the glass down emphatically. When will I ever pursue Grace One? Aren't your parents pressuring you to marry? You still have the leisure to chase someone? Pressure all they want. Can pressure put Secretary One into my arms? Greasy. Monday morning. Mid-level management meeting. I waited outside the conference room for Secretary One. When she walked out and saw me, it was like spotting a savior. She rushed over. Thank goodness you're here, Luna. Otherwise, everyone would have gotten yelled at for another 2 hours. Is he angry again? I swear I didn't provoke him. Strange. Back when I was in tech, he never lost his temper like this during meetings. Why's he like a powder keg now? I muttered quietly. Secretary One heard me, blinked and said helplessly, It's precisely because you were there back then. He never got angry in front of you. He'd always go back to his office and sulk privately. With my work efficiency back then, he must have wanted to curse me straight to hell. I watched Ethan warily as he emerged from the conference room. Spotting me, he loosened his tie. His previously furrowed brow relaxed slightly, but he was still reprimanding someone next to him. I quickly grabbed Secretary 1 to find a quiet spot to chat. I told her about Ryan wanting to pursue her. She looked troubled. I quickly added, "He just asked me to help connect you. I've passed on the message, but the choice is entirely yours. Don't feel pressured by any obligations." Gracewan pondered, then replied, "I don't want a relationship right now. I just want to make money." That time I took care of him? Because the boss counted it as overtime. Double pay. Didn't have to do much. Just watch a sleeping person. This job? I'll take it. Secretary 1 scratched her head, her round eyes smiling brightly. Sister Luna, seeing how career-minded I am, could you ask President Chin for a raise? Suma Mason. Sorry. Ryan Kuhn. I relayed this faithfully to Ryan. Unexpectedly, his eyes lit up. He slammed the table, standing up aggressively. Wants to make money, huh? I thought he'd lost it. Turns out he really had. He directly approached Ethan, inquired about Secretary Wen's salary, and promptly offered triple the pay to poach her. Secretary Wen looked at the new employment contract, glanced at her longtime boss, then bowed slightly with regret. She gleefully jumped ship with the contract. Me. Ethan, learning the whole story, grabbed me. His hand wandered restlessly around my waist, wearing a well-done you expression. You drove my secretary away. Do you know what this means? I shook my head, not wanting to know. It means I'm angry. Tonight you have to placate me. I breathed a sigh of relief. Phew, at least he wasn't making me replace Grace as his secretary. But later, when I couldn't sleep at night, I regretted it. I'd rather have been the secretary. After the start of autumn, Fiona got pregnant. I went to see her. That brat Sean was hugging her, unwilling to let go, as if staking his claim. Be careful. Don't hurt my wife. Huh. Why didn't you worry about hurting her during those nighttime activities? After getting pregnant, Fiona's appetite soared, forcing Sean, a guy who couldn't even boil water, to transform into a 5-star chef. She shoved a piece of beef into her mouth, chewing indistinctly. When are you and my brother having a wedding? I want a feast too. How could I not fulfill such a simple wish from my sister? Returning home, I immediately mentioned this to Ethan. He seemed displeased, frowning silently. I nudged him. He snapped out of it, tapping my head lightly. Silly, a wedding is your own, not thrown for others. I rubbed my head, grumbling unhappily. But Fiona threw one for me. That was because she was getting married anyway. She was teasing you. I fell silent. That did make sense. Do you still want to have one? Ethan asked again. With you? Absolutely. I buried half my body in his arms. He liked that, his lips pressed together, curling into a faint smile. The wedding was set for the following spring. With Ethan and family helping seriously with the arrangements, it felt much less troublesome. That day, I walked slowly toward Ethan in my wedding dress. The moment I took his hand, he shed a tear. I wiped it away, cupped his face, and only heard him whisper something just for us. I love you. Thank you for listening. He still wore the wedding band I'd casually bought from a roadside boutique the day we got the marriage certificate, when he pestered me for rings. During the toast, he swapped all my wine for juice, raising his hands in surrender. I can't handle your drunken antics again. Remembering the night I devoured him, my face flushed instantly. I obediently drank the juice. Toasting at the friends' table, I saw Grace seated next to Ryan. Ethan remarked, quite displeased, does being his secretary include attending banquets? Ryan retorted smugly, nonsense. I brought a +1, all right? Grace gave me a sly wink. I instantly understood. Seems Ryan's overtime pay was generous enough. Grace played the role of +1 flawlessly. Sure enough, Grace quietly came over and whispered, Thanks for setting this up, Sister Luna. This fool's money is too easy. 10,000 an hour. Tonight, just eating dinner here, I'll pocket 100K easily. She flashed me a hand gesture, sighing with feeling. He just pays too much. I gave her a thumbs up. That night, I wasn't drunk. Ethan was. He slumped on me, mumbling nonsense. Remembering he'd secretly recorded my drunk ramblings, I opened my phone to record too. But the entire time, he only murmured one sentence. Wife, can we just walk together like this for a lifetime? Of course. After answering, I stopped the recording, tore open his shirt, and kissed him with clear intent, gnawing and biting him all over again.